Lavia Nielsen is on the outside in the first of 3 semi-finals of the women's 400. Just missed the medal at the Europeans, indoors and out. A great run for third in the London Diamond League. Paolo Moran, Pan American silver medalist this year, World Student Games champion. She's getting very close to the 51-second barrier. Salwa Eid Nasser, by far the most talented woman in this competition, apart from Mila Weibo. Iga Baumgart-Vitan, 5th in the European champs last year. We saw her in the mixed 4x4. Phyllis Francis, the defending champion. She was 5th in the Olympics 3 years ago. She knows she's going to have to improve on that season's best. Deborah Sananes, French national champion. Semi-final of the European indoors a couple of years ago. Alia Abrams, Guyana, dual heritage with the United States, from New York, representing the nation of her parents' heritage. And Patience Okon-George, twice an African Championship bronze medalist. She's on the inside. Nasser will be third from the outside. She won Shanghai, Rome, Rabat. That's Phyllis Francis, the defending champion. She didn't contest the US champs over 4. She didn't need to. She was 5th in the 200. But there's Nasser. 5 big wins this year, including Zurich. 49-17, her season's best. Francis in 5, the defending champion, and Nasser in 7, the 2 favourites to advance to the final here. Watch out for Nielsen on the outside if she replicates the form that took her to 3rd in the London Diamond League.
Set.
So how quickly will Salwa Eid Nasser go out? Phyllis Francis beginning to close down on the experienced Baumgart-Vitan. Nasser now into her groove. She's got a beautiful stride for somebody much shorter than many of the other women running here. Up onto the shoulder of Nielsen, who's still in the mix at this stage. Phyllis Francis with a little bit to do here. The stagger unwinds, but Nasser has a big lead. Francis, the defending champion, in 2nd place. Baumgart-Vitan is trying to come through, and also Moran of Mexico finishing really quickly. Let's have a look at the clock here. 49-79. That was so good from Nasser. Phyllis Francis was 2nd. A very good run from both of them. Well, she did all her work down the back straight and the top bend, and she actually left Phyllis Francis quite a lot to do down that last 70 or 80 metres. She's so small, Nasser, but her stride is absolutely massive, and it looked effortless there.
It did look effortless. She's very, very rhythmical. She runs very, very economically. And here we see Lavia Nielsen there for Great Britain in lane 9 as the athletes drive out of those starting blocks. And we can see Nasser there already really high knee, driving all the way. But if we actually just look at these images of Nasser, she doesn't give anything away in that course. She stays really, really strong. Francis is really driving to the line, but at 300-meter mark, Nasser was gone. She was really in control. And I just watched that last 50 meters. She just dropped her shoulders somewhat. She stopped driving the arms, and yet she still returned a 49.979 second clock in. Here we get a really good image there. Lavia Nielsen was in 3rd position there, but you could just see she's really treading water. But no doubt in the first 2 across the line, they guarantee their passage to the final. Nasser and Phyllis Francis.
No tension in that face, all those shoulders, all that neck whatsoever. None. An extremely impressive run from Salwa Eid Nasser. Phyllis Francis with a season's best. Baumgart-Vitan came through just to pit Paolo Moran for the 3rd spot with a PB She'll have to wait and see whether that's good enough to go through as a non-automatic qualifier.
Semi-final number 2 in the women's 400 metres. On the outside, the Oceanian champion from Australia, Bendero Aboya, just 19 years of age, making a World Championship semi-final at the first time of asking. She's got the Australian junior record of 51.14 set by Kathy Freeman in her sights. Lada Vondrova, the European under-23 silver medalist, another just 20 years of age. Sharika Jackson, the Olympic bronze medalist, 5th 2 years ago in London. A sub-50-second runner, one of 2 in this field. Here is the irrepressible figure of Shawnee Miller-Uibo, the Olympic champion, chasing her first world title. Sada Williams, the national record holder of Barbados. 51.48 set her lifetime best this year. The US collegiate champion, Vardalin Jonathas, won her heat in 50.57 to get herself lane 4. 3 times the Cuban champion, Roxana Gomez, is in 3. And completing the lineup, Lizana De Vita, the European bronze medalist, both outdoors and indoors. One of the time qualifiers in lane 2 for the Netherlands. The second of our women's 400 metres semi-final. Remember, just 2 automatic places, plus 2 time qualifiers across the 3 semi-finals. Miller-Uibo, the favourite for the title, goes in lane 6, with Sharika Jackson probably helpfully just outside it.
Set.
Well, Miller-Uibo strolled to 51.3 in her heat unchallenged, and Sharika Jackson, though, has gone out very quickly just outside her. And it's Jackson setting the pace in the early stages. Miller-Uibo going with her. They've already gone sailing past Vondrova and Aboya. And look at Sharika Jackson down the back straight, really laying it on here to Shawnee Miller-Uibo, who certainly doesn't have things her own way this time round. Also going well is Jonathas of the USA in lane 4 as the stagger unwinds. It's Sharika Jackson of Jamaica who leads. Just 2 automatic places, remember. Miller-Uibo in pursuit, coming through on the inside. Jonathas in 3rd from Sada Williams of Barbados. But now Miller-Uibo starts to extend, starts to exert herself, and then starts to wind it right down. Jonathas closing on the fading Jackson, but it's Miller-Uibo, ultra impressive again, and having shut it down 50 metres from home, she's posted 49.66. Tight on the line for the second spot in the end. Jonathas caught the fading Jackson to get that second spot, but Miller-Uibo 49.66 again looks ultra easy.
She did look ultra easy, and I was just looking at NASA, 49.79 in her semi-final, and Miller-Uibo there 49.66, slightly quicker. That was such an interesting race to watch, and we're just picking up the pictures there, and that's where Miller-Uibo really came through. At this point in the race, it's really hard to accelerate. Around about 140 metres to go, and just between 140 to about 90 metres, she just picked out a 50-metre segment. She just went up 1 gear, that's all. She just went from gear 3 to 4. That was enough for her to come past Sharika Jackson, who's really tiring there after setting that early pace. And wow, I'm just wondering what sort of times are we going to see come this final.
Well, the world record of this event is 47.6 for Marita Koch going back 1985. Miller-Uibo leading the world this year with 49.05. The championship record could be in doubt as well. Miller-Uibo 49.66. A very well judged race in the end from Vardalin Jonathas of the US, who got a PB for her troubles there, 50.07, and has got herself into her first world final. And Sharika Jackson with 50.10 would be going through as things stand at the moment, unless the 3rd semi-final is ultra quick.
49.79 from NASA in the first semi-final. 49.66 Shawnee Miller-Uibo in the second. What will we see here in the 3rd semi-final of the women's 400 metres? great standard and a great final in prospect. Who is taking the last two automatic spots? Mary Morar, African junior champion. She's on the outside. She might need a PB to get in the shake-up here. Favour Afili, African Games silver medalist a few years ago. And then to the US champion, Shakima Wimbley, initially disqualified in the heat, then reinstated. She has very quick women on her inside, so might need to make a fast start. Stephanie Ann McPherson got a bronze in Moscow.
Stephanie Ann McPherson.
Can she challenge the American? Justina Svajty-Ercetic is the European champion. She's one of two very talented Polish women. Iga Baumgart-Witan is in a non-automatic spot at the moment. Gafalia Maroka, African Games champion. Big PB to qualify, so we know she's in the form of her life. And then the second American in this one, Kendall Ellis. Runner-up behind Wimbley in those champs. She ran in the heats of the 4x4 in London 2 years ago. Great Britain's Emily Diamond on the inside. Olympic relay bronze in Rio and a silver on home turf in London 2 years ago. This is quite an interesting semi-final. Diamond in 2, Ellis in 3. Morocco, Botswana 4. Svajty-Ercetic, Poland, the European champion in 5. Stephanie Ann McPherson, the former bronze medalist in 6. Wimbley, the US champion in 7. Afili, Nigeria 8. Morar, Kenya in 9. Wimbley will fancy she can take this, but the 4 lanes inside her bring great quality. Watch for Ellis from the USA, McPherson, Jamaica in 6, and Wimbley, the US champion in 7. Only 2 guaranteed to come back for the final.
Sir.
Really intriguing semi-final, this one. Watching for an early move as the first bend unfolds, and Kendall Ellis has started very quickly, and the Botswanan has had to pull up, and that's a real shame. Wimbley now up and past the 2 women outside her. What a good run by Stephanie Ann McPherson, coming up to challenge the US champion. Svajty-Ercetic making her way through the central lanes. But what a bend by Stephanie Ann McPherson. She did get a bronze back in Moscow. Now the rest are beginning to come back into it, and Wimbley's pulled up. The American champion has just stopped running down the home straight. So Stephanie Ann McPherson beginning to tie up. McPherson takes it, Svajty-Ercetic in second, and Ellis just out-dipping Emily Diamond, and Ellis will have to wait and see whether she gets one of the non-automatic qualifying spots. I don't think she will. Stephanie Ann McPherson richly deserves her place in the final, and so too does the European champion, who can't believe that she came through for second.
Well, what a strange race to watch, with 2 casualties in that women's 400 metres. And amazing scenes there from Svajty-Ercetic. That'll mean a lot there for the European champion to get into her first individual global final. She'll be absolutely delighted. So watching this back, Wimbley started so well, didn't she, of course? And Ellis is running well at that point as well. We've just lost the Botswana there after 100 metres. But it was McPherson who was running really well there. And then Kimberly Wimbley, she was put back, reinstated into the semi-final. She didn't complete it, but McPherson looked strong, she looked in control. Good 300 metres, and then she just shut down.
It was as if Wimbley, Shakima Wimbley, the US champion, just gave up, which I've never ever seen before. Anyway, let's focus on the positives. McPherson ran fantastically well, and so too did Svajty-Ercetic, inside 51 seconds to take the second spot. Kendall Ellis doesn't make it, and just to mop up the rest of the qualifiers, that means there'll be 2 Polish women in the final, because Iga Baumgart-Witan and her time of 51.02 is good enough for one of the 2 non-automatic places. So what an achievement by the European nation. But McPherson grabbed that race and the opportunity by the scruff of the neck. Svite Ercetic couldn't believe that she'd come home for second, and she thoroughly deserves to be in one of the great finals.
Well, I think that's a strong indication that the Polish women will have a great 4x4 team. They really have worked well in that event over the last decade or so. She'll be delighted this evening.
Stephanie Ann McPherson with a beautifully timed run and season's best is in the final. So too is Justina Svite Ercetic. Wembley, the US champion, will not be there. Well, what a final in prospect. Miller Weibo against Salwa Eid Nasser. The question really is how fast can they go in the final? Mid-48s, dare I suggest? Bear in mind, Miller Weibo has run 21.75 for the 200 this season, and Nasser's PB is 49.08. Two Jamaicans make the cut, Sharika Jackson and Stephanie Ann McPherson, and two Polish women, Svite Ercetic and Baumgard Vitan, and two Americans, Madeline Jonathas and Phyllis Francis. Should be a great race.